Amazon deploys code to production over 50 million times a year. That's not a typo. And the only reason that's possible without constant catastrophic failure is a CI/CD pipeline. A CI/CD pipeline is an automated system that takes code a developer writes and moves it safely, reliably, and repeatedly, all the way into a running application that real users can access. Think of it like an assembly line at a car factory. A worker adds a part, it moves down the line, gets inspected at each station, and nothing reaches the end unless it passed every check. CI/CD does the same thing with software. Code goes in one end. A tested, deployed application comes out the other. No one manually carrying parts between stations. Before CI/CD, shipping software looked like this. Developers write code for weeks, merge everything together at the end, and then spend days, sometimes weeks, untangling conflicts, broken features, and bugs that are nearly impossible to trace because thousands of lines changed at once. That's called integration hell. Teams would dread release day. CI/CD solves this by making integration and deployment happen continuously, in small pieces, automatically, with immediate feedback when something breaks. This isn't just a large company problem. A 3-person startup shipping a broken update to production on a Friday afternoon because nobody ran the tests manually, that's the moment CI/CD stops being an abstraction and starts being a lesson learned the hard way. A CI/CD pipeline typically has two halves. The CI part, continuous integration, and the CD part, continuous deployment or continuous delivery, depending on how far the automation goes. It starts when a developer pushes code to a version control system like GitHub. That push triggers the pipeline automatically. No one has to remember to start it. The first stage is the build. The pipeline takes your source code and compiles it, or in interpreted languages like Python, packages it into an artifact, which is just the bundled, runnable version of your application. Next comes the test stage. This is where automated tests run. Unit tests check that individual functions work correctly. Integration tests check that different parts of the system work together. If a test fails, the pipeline stops. Nothing moves forward. The developer gets notified immediately, while the change is still fresh in their mind, not 3 weeks later. If all tests pass, the pipeline moves to the CD stage, deployment. The artifact gets pushed to a server, a container, or a cloud environment. Tools like GitHub Actions or Jenkins define all of this in a configuration file. In GitHub Actions, that's a YAML file stored in your repository under .github/workflows. Each step in that file maps directly to a stage in the pipeline. The configuration might say, on push to main branch, run npm install, then npm test, then deploy to AWS if tests pass. The pipeline executes that sequence exactly every time for every commit. And if this is the kind of thing you want to actually understand, not just use, Stack Future covers one concept like this every day, the CD half can stop at continuous delivery, which means the code is ready to deploy, but a human clicks the final button, or it goes all the way to continuous deployment, where passing tests means automatic release to production. Which one a team chooses depends on how much risk tolerance they have and how good their test coverage is. A small team is using GitHub Actions to automate their deployment process. They have a Node.js application, and their workflow file defines 3 jobs: install, test, and deploy. A developer pushes a commit that accidentally breaks an API endpoint. The workflow triggers, the install job runs npm install without issue. The test job runs npm test and fails. The pipeline posts a failed status check directly on the pull request in GitHub. The deploy job never runs. Without this pipeline, that broken code might have been merged and deployed to production before anyone noticed. With it, the developer sees a red checkmark within 2 minutes of pushing, clicks into the logs, reads type error, cannot read properties of undefined, finds the line, fixes it, and pushes again. The pipeline runs clean. The code ships. That feedback loop, commit, test, know immediately, is the entire value of CI/CD. A CI/CD pipeline is just a structured, automated path from code to running application, with checkpoints that stop broken software before it reaches users. The mechanism is a configuration file that defines stages: build, test, deploy. Each stage runs automatically on every commit. If this clicked for you, the natural next step is understanding how containers fit into this picture. Because most modern pipelines don't deploy code directly, they deploy Docker images. That's worth a dedicated look. If this helped, a like tells YouTube to show it to more people who'd find it useful.